Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Hall. You may call me Dr. Kennard. This is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. Stories we're covering today: Pastafarians in the news, Elizabeth Holmes. You know, the thing is about grifting and about lies is that if you're really squeezing people for money, it's layers of lies. It's one lie on top of another lie on top of another lie. And we're going to get into Elizabeth Holmes and her trial that's going on right now. It just gets weirder, everyone. It just gets weirder. We're going to be talking about cops in Philadelphia. Not a feel-good story. It is and it isn't. Mostly it isn't. And we're going to talk about General Miley and about him calling up the Chinese and about him making sure Trump didn't send off nukes. And hey, congratulations, California. You didn't elect a fascist. Good job. Let's do something funny.
Hey, you want to play American government? Sure, how's it work? You get these cards with ideas on them, and depending on how many people like your ideas, you get more points. Sounds fun. Okay, the first issue is voting rights. I'll read them and weep, buddy. I've got make voting easier for everybody, no dark money or foreign interference in elections, early voting, vote by mail, and still the most secure election in history. That is a good hand. But I'm gonna go with make voting harder for minorities and poor people, closing polling locations, no early voting, no vote by mail, people standing in line all day to vote, voter ID laws, and if I don't win the election, I get to throw out any votes I don't like for whatever bullshit reason I make up. Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one to sell to the public. Okay, looks like 85% of the country likes your ideas better than mine. Haha, yeah! So we are tied. What? Oh, sorry, I get an extra 15 points per turn because of the Electoral College and the Senate map. And I get another 15 points per turn because I created a massive propaganda network that convinces people that my bad ideas are good ideas. And another 5 points because billionaires pour a ton of money into my campaign, so it's harder for your ideas to compete. So even if all my ideas are 85% better than yours, then we still tie? Sometimes it actually puts me in the lead. That's really not fair. Oh, it gets worse. When we tie, people get mad at you as though there were anything you could have done about it. And that gives you even fewer points. What the fuck? And when I win, I use my turn to make it harder for people to vote for you in the future. This sucks. I've got the best cards, but it's harder for me to win. You can try to make it more fair, but it's gonna be hard because you got so many centrist tokens. How do I get rid of my centrist tokens? Voting, which I just made a lot harder with my turn, remember? And the public pressure dice. They're the ones that say things on them like protesting or calling your senators. I don't have a lot of public pressure dice. Yeah, you sort of exhausted all of your public pressure dice over the last 4 years. Dude, I had to. Yeah, you really did. I used almost all of them and I still barely won. I know! And if you don't get more, you'll probably lose every election for a generation. Isn't this fun?
Well, that was hard. That was a hard video to start off the show with, everyone. But, you know, funny, maybe, possibly. Hello, everyone on Facebook. If you want to comment, please head over to Laughing in Disbelief on YouTube. You can join us in the chat. You're going to see me interacting with people in the chat, which I'm about to do right now. Hey, chat. What's up, Sammy? Hope you're doing well. Simply Secular Dave. It's good to be back. I took the last 2 days off because I had to work. I have a couple of stories about that. John Hudson. I can't really talk to you about my current work story since I'm currently employed with these folks, but maybe off camera I can talk about them. Dee Parks. Good morning, John Hudson. Yeah, something's going on with Pathos this morning, Sammy. I posted a link to the latest satirical piece on the blog Laughing in Disbelief, and I think Pathos is all jammed up. It happens on occasion. Well, thank you, Simply Secular Dave. You just threw in another link there. Well, hopefully that worked. Oh, yes. Hey, girlfriend. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, BFA. Jenna. Hope you're doing okay. Oh, all right. Why a donkey and an elephant, Democrats and Republicans, my friend? The donkey, Democrats, the elephant, Republicans. What's up, Dr. Osiris? All right. Well, you know, Tesla Ranger, American government equals Cards Against Humanity. Too true. Well said. Well said. What's up, Paul? All right. And Scott Dukes here, Jess M. I think I got everyone. I don't know. You want to do some memes? Oh, what do I have for announcements? I don't know, man. I don't know, everyone. I got some books from Dr. Josh yesterday through the mail. I'm going to be starting to read his book on Does the Old Testament Endorse Slavery? I'm going to be reading through that, and I'll probably have him back on the channel to talk about that book. Oh, coughing. Trying to contain my cough right now. All right, that's better. Got those books in the mail. I actually threw an unbagging. It's not really unboxing. It's more of an unbagging video. I threw that up on my Instagram account. And believe it or not, I do have a small TikTok account too. So I threw that up on my TikTok account. So yeah, so that's really what I've been doing. And you want to do some memes? Let's do some memes, everyone. Check out what we have for this morning. Is it cat heavy on the memes? I think it might be cat heavy. Did you see? How did you like the? By the way, how did you like the video of my cat Biscuit playing with the fish? Right, that Dee Parks gave Biscuit. Thank you, Dee Parks, once again. Biscuit is slowly acclimating to when the fish actually flops around. But right now, it kind of spooked her out at first. And so the cat does love that fish. They've been playing with it quite a bit. All right, memes, everyone. Here we go. Do they still worship us, child? Well, I shit in a box and they clean it. Yeah, man. Classic. Good. Here we go. Second meme. This is all about American-style capitalism right here. This one's a real head scratcher. You can stop the trolley at any time, but doing so would disrupt the trolley service, causing the company to lose profits. Now, you may think that that's an unfair representation of American-style capitalism. I would say no, it is not. I posted this story on my personal Facebook page the other day with a shitty knock joke. It's like, knock, who's there? And I forget actually what the whole thing was, but basically the punchline was, who the fuck opens up schools 2 months before vaccine is available for kids? Because you see, there are ICUs in children's hospitals in Ohio filling up because of kids getting COVID, because as we all know, kids from 5 to 11 can't officially get the vaccine. Sure, it might be okayed by the end of October, but how many sick kids are we going to have between now and then? I don't know. If they knew that the vaccine for kids was coming down the line and would be available, let's say in November, the end of October, why couldn't they just postpone the opening of school for a couple of months? Did they come out with some kind of equation saying, well, we're only going to have like 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 dead kids, and that's okay? It just gets me. I'm just working up my anger, everyone. I'm just working up, getting myself into a fevered pitch for the rest of the show. Oh, I just hit the wrong fucking button too. Here we go. Self-care is putting your face on a very soft cat. That, or it's a really odd way of committing suicide. Uncalled for, Andy. Uncalled for. You call it self-care. It could be the gentlest way of ending yourself. Checking out the chat before we've gone to the Simply Secular Dave. Knock, who's there? Population control. Knock. Hello, are you still there? That's good, Dave. I like that. Okay. Checking out what else is going on here. Dr. Cyrus says, I'm a grafter, not a grifter. Thinking grafter is a better option, but it's not, especially considering that they were in prison. A grifter is a professional version of a grafter. All right. I'm laughing in disbelief that you could tell everyone I did a live stream today. Well, Paul Camish did a live stream today, everyone. That's what Paul Camish did. I doubt it was about his testicles exploding, though it could. I mean, I don't know. Things happen here. Cryptameria goes, Kentucky had to call in the National Guard because of lack of staffing. You know, actually in Massachusetts, there is a lack of school bus drivers. And so I believe 90 drivers from the National Guard are driving school buses throughout the Commonwealth because there aren't enough school bus drivers. All right. Pastafarians. That's our first real news story that we're going to be talking about this morning. This is from the Friendly Atheist. Links in the description below, everyone. Pastafarians can now get a religious exemption form to avoid unvaxxed co-workers. This is from Hemet. Yeah, this is from Hemet, the Friendly Atheist himself. With so many insane right-wing pastors offering to sign off on religious exemptions to COVID vaccines, people have reached out to the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster to see if they could get a free pass. And now, after much thought and deliberation, Prophet Bobby Henderson has released a copy of the exemption. Any Pastafarian now has access to an official letter saying they must be exempt from working near an unvaccinated person. Do I have a panel of the letter? Yes, I do. Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Religious liberty exemption concerning COVID vaccinations. Dear sir or madam, I am writing as a representative of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster in support of a member of our congregation. And then you can get your own personal name right in there. This gentleman is Vlag Ball. Please be advised that we have strict guidelines concerning what can enter our bodies. It is deeply held belief and core tenet of our religion to avoid harmful substances. Our members must not be exposed to or work in the proximity of unvaccinated individuals. While some may choose not to be vaccinated by going out in public, these people are knowingly taking the risk of infecting others with harmful virus particles. Please take all reasonable measures to help our members avoid contact with these unvaccinated individuals. Perhaps the unvaxxed could be placed in a special area to contain their emissions. Thank you in advance of respecting religious liberty. Any questions can be directed to me. Sincerely, Bobby Henderson, Representative. God bless America. I don't think anyone's going to respect a letter from the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, to tell you the truth. Satanists have a difficult time getting people to listen to them. That's why there's so many lawsuits from the Satanic Temple. But it does show you the insanity of religious exemption laws. The fact that people don't have to get the vaccine, perhaps, because of their deeply held thoughts and delusional belief system. That's crazy. Checking out the chat before going to the next story. Well, let's see. Well, Cryptameria. I am mad at the British Columbia, I imagine, Nurses Union. If you're anti-vax, why are you still working in healthcare? Actually, there was a story I was reading through today about Louisiana and about a small group of nurses there who say that they're willing to leave their jobs, to quit, because they're all going to be required to be vaccinated, as well they should be, right? It's absurd to say that they haven't been vaccinated as of yet. Man, I really want to talk about this work thing that I had yesterday, but I can't because I don't want to lose my job the second day of work. Like someone would just be, Andy can't be talking about someone dick-nosing it at work in a meeting, right? Without anyone saying anything about it. I don't know. There's got to be a sign. I'm going to carry a yellow card and a red card with me, everyone. I'm going to go online. Maybe I'll make my own crappy yellow and red card that whenever I'm in a meeting, now that I'm employed, and someone's dick-nosing it, I'm just going to show the yellow card. And if they do it long enough, I'm just going to show the red card. I think that might be the most non-confrontational way of showing my disbelief at what they're doing. Did I say hello to Dee Parks? I hope I said hello to Dee Parks. All right. Am I caught up with everyone in the chat? I think I am, everyone. You want to talk about Idaho hospitals? This seems to be relevant about Idaho hospitals being jam-packed full of the unvaccinated. Name of the video, Idaho hospitals jam-packed with unvaccinated COVID patients. What's the moral? Don't go to Idaho, everyone. I don't think many of you are.
To say the situation here is bad, and their fear is that it is only getting worse when you factor in the high transmission that you're seeing in this community. More than 1 in every 4 people who go to get a coronavirus test are coming back with a positive result, and we know a rise in cases usually is followed by a rise in hospitalizations at a point when doctors say that emergency rooms are full. Hospitals are in crisis here. They're considering rationing care, and you have state officials saying and warning residents to be extra careful during basic activities like driving or biking to avoid filling the emergency rooms more than they already are. There's also a crunch in staff in these hospitals. We have the Department of Defense sending reinforcements here, also National Guard being activated. I want you to listen to what the health director in this community told us about not only the surge they're seeing, but what they fear can happen later.
With school beginning, we haven't even felt the full effects of the Labor Day holiday and people traveling. And then on top of that, just with winter coming, people are being pushed further into indoors, spending more time in close contact with each other. We expect this not to get any better unless our community takes action.
And we continue to hear how this surge is impacting the unvaccinated population disproportionately. More than 90% of the hospitalizations in this state are among those who are not vaccinated.
We're for those who love to discover.
Idaho. But this is normal. I don't know if you saw the news story the last couple of days. There was a gentleman in Alabama who was in dire need of getting to an ICU. And there were 43 ICU units that stated they could not see him, that they could not admit him because they had full beds. 43 ICUs said no to him. He was a guy from Alabama. He eventually found an ICU in Mississippi, I believe. Oh, David Silverman, man. Did you see the tweet by Silverman suggesting hospitals should have been more prepared this time around? And it's their full, pure ignorance. You know, well, it isn't ignorance. It isn't ignorance because David's a smart guy. What he is he's just a grifter now for the right. You know, he's gotten a lot of bad blood because of the fact that he can't keep it in his pants, basically, from the incident. And now he's decided to exact his revenge on the left, and he's probably getting paid for it too. Nothing but a grifter. That, you know, and it's such a sad little man too. Ultimately, a sad little man, David Silverman. And it isn't like people have been talking about Silverman for years before the incident. Before the incident, people knew. All right. But yeah, I just saw a couple. I just listened to another podcast, Rationally Speaking, and they went over ivermectin, and guess what? Ivermectin is still bullshit. Ivermectin still is not useful whatsoever in the treatment, either before, in the early stages, or during the height of getting COVID. It's not useful whatsoever. And it was, once again, the latest episode of Rationally Speaking, the podcast. And the journalist who was talking about the research said, oh, by the way, there seems to be a lot of fraud going on with ivermectin research. The people who are publishing papers, there's evidence of fraud going on. Just a bunch of bullshit. All right. Next story, everyone. You want to do the next story? Let's do the next story. Elizabeth Holmes. So, all right, quick redo of the Elizabeth Holmes story. Elizabeth Holmes is a person who stole money. She's in for her crappy, non-working machine. If you see the HBO Max special or the documentary, The Inventor, it goes over the sad, true story of Elizabeth Holmes. She dropped out of Stanford University, created her own business called Theranos, and then she committed fraud on an epic scale. How much fraud did she commit? She committed so much fraud that she's actually going to trial for fraud here in the States. And, you know, if you committed that level of white collar crime, wow. Yeah, it's a great special. I suggest you see it. She did everything. She did everything classic grifters do. She had a very set image that she showed the world. She had very certain bullet points she would talk about. She wouldn't show people information about her miracle device that she was selling to companies. She manipulated state laws in Arizona so that her machines that didn't work could go into CVS's. It's mind-boggling. Well, she is on trial now. And it just gets freaking weirder, everyone. It just gets freaking weirder. Here's Elizabeth Holmes with her current boyfriend. And here's the story. A man who called himself a concerned citizen and defended Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes to reporters at her fraud trial turned out to be her boyfriend's dad. It's a whole new level of grift right here. Okay, it gets crazy. It gets crazier than just that, by the way. Here we go. A man at Elizabeth Holmes' trial who called himself Hanson repeatedly defended Holmes to reporters. He said he is just a concerned citizen and always wanted to attend a trial, NPR reports. However, the man was actually Bill Evans, the father of Holmes's partner, according to NPR. That's the highlights. But yeah, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the story. Well, all eyes on Elizabeth Holmes during jury selection for her Theranos fraud trial, one man in the courtroom was beginning to garner some attention of his own. He called himself Hanson and wore a Patagonia puffer jacket and a cap, NPR reports. He explained that he was simply a concerned citizen, concerned about the trial, and that it had always been on his bucket list to attend one. A week later, he showed up at the trial again, this time in very different clothes. He had traded his Patagonia for a suit, and he was walking into the courthouse next to none other than the defendant herself, Elizabeth. So he was at the trial in disguise, basically defending Elizabeth Holmes, and a week later, he was just calling himself a concerned citizen, and then a week later, he is walking with her into the courtroom. All right, next panel. Hanson, as it turns out, isn't named Hanson at all. He's actually Bill Evans, the father of Holmes' partner, Billy Evans, NPR reports. While he masqueraded as casual spectator Hanson, Bill Evans defended Holmes to trial reporters, saying the news media chronically mistreated the Theranos founder in its coverage of her, according to NPR. Trial reporters had already sensed earlier that there was something amiss with Hanson. CNN's Sarah Ashley O'Brien told NPR the name on his Starbucks cup was either Bill or Billy, not Hanson. She also told NPR he wore Salvatore Ferragamo. I don't even know how to pronounce that. I don't even know. Loafers, an expensive choice that casts doubt on his claims that he was an everyman. Was he confronted with the lie? Yes, he was. And his response is epic, everyone. NPR's Bobby Allen asked Bill Evans if he was a mole, to which he jokingly responded that he had a mole in his head when CNBC's Yasmin Coram asked why he said his name was Hanson. Bill Evans booked it for the men's restroom, she told NPR. So a reporter from CNBC just asked him, why did you call yourself this other name? And he just ran to the little boy's room. He just ran to the little boy's room. He's so stupid. He didn't even have a lie set up. He didn't even have a response in his head. So he just ran. And this is the best that he could come up with, everyone. This is the best he could come up with. Later, when pressed about why he called himself Hanson, Bill Evans told NPR, people have nicknames and you can be free to use them. Oh, one level of the grift on top of another level of the grift on top of another level of the grift. Incredible. Checking out the chat. 36 comments. Divine Sorcerers here in the house, I see. All right. I think I caught up with everyone. I think I caught up. I just did a quick look through here. Dr. Osiris dropped a couple of links to everything of Dr. Kennard. Thank you very much, Dr. Osiris. All right. You want to do the halftime tummy rub show? Halftime tummy rub show is where we take a break from the news cycle, have a laugh or two. And I've been told I should ask people to hit the like button. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button. If you've gotten some value from this show, if you laughed, if you learned something new, then please hit the like button. And then, of course, subscribe. And as you notice, there are no ads on the channel. No ads. Everything's basically supported by YouTube members and patrons and people who throw a couple of pennies maybe into my Venmo and PayPal accounts. They're down there in the description, everyone. Spank the like button. Indeed, spank the like button. All right, let's do something funny, everyone.
So are we really just not going to talk about what fucking Oppenheimer said yesterday? I am become death, the destroyer of worlds? Huh? Okay, man. My name's still Steven. I looked it up. It's Hindu scripture. It's from the fucking Bhagavad Gita. Pretentious prick. Dr. Oppenheimer, hey. Yeah, good morning. We were all just discussing how powerful your words were yesterday. Yeah. How we were up all night. We couldn't sleep because of just how cool that was. Celebrated a little too hard last night. Yeah. Yeah, and I woke up this morning and I thought, man, I feel like death, you know? But then I realized I can't infringe on your territory. Hey, how come you never wear your black robe to work? Is your scythe still at the blacksmith's? The scythe, the hook thing that Death had. You know, a way to take the fucking wind out of my sails, Derek.
Oh, fuck that Derek guy. I thought that was good, right? A little geeky, a little funny, a bit funny. It was funny enough, everyone, right? Okay, we're gonna play this horrible game of what the police did to this poor woman. What the police did to this poor woman. And if you know the story, don't tell the story. If you know it, then don't. But we'll play the game. What the police did to this horrible woman. And I mean, to this poor woman. Philadelphia, the police did something to her. Did they do something to her kid too? All right, I don't want to give too much away. You may make guesses if you wish to, chat. But yes, this woman, the police did something to her, and now she's getting a big payday. A big payday due to something horrible from the police. All right. What's up, Randolph Richardson? Just in time for this story of American policing. For those of you who thought that they could have guessed at what the police did to this poor woman and her kid, you gotta really wrap your mind around the corrupt gangs known as the police. Here we go. Philadelphia settles with mother. Police dragged from her car and insulted in front of her toddler. I'm going to read it again. Philadelphia settles with mother. Police dragged from car and assaulted in front of toddler. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time, which is basically being here in the States at any time. Wow, that microphone's like, that's not okay, Andy. That sounds distinctly un-American. Maybe. Though, I'm not even going to start talking about Killmonger. We start talking about Black Panther, or maybe Killmonger was right about certain things. That's a diversion only for people who are really into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But let's go into the nuts and bolts of the story. Philadelphia settled a case with a mother whom police officers dragged from her car and beat up during protests against police violence last year. The city settled for $2 million before she filed a lawsuit. The city told her lawyers it is the largest pre-trial settlement for a police brutality case like this. In many law firms, this case would have been over after securing such a historic settlement against the city of Philadelphia, said lawyer Kevin Mincy, but it wasn't enough. They were out for justice and not just money. But they say that's not enough. In October, buckle up everyone, in October 2020, Philadelphia police officers shot and killed Walter Wallace Jr. in Cobb's Creek. That led to several days of protests. On October 27th, Rekia Young was driving through West Philadelphia with her 2-year-old son and 16-year-old nephew when she found herself in the middle of a protest. She turned to go back, but before she could, officers dragged Young and her nephew out of her car, beat them, and kept her away from her son for hours. This poor woman found herself in the midst of chaos. The police, for some reason, well, there are reasons, we know why, everyone, right? We know why. We know why. Microphone. The police drag her out of the car, drag her nephew out of the car, beat the crap out of both of them, and then took the 2-year-old toddler away. But it gets worse. How can it get worse? It gets worse because fuck the police. That's why. Here it comes. The Fraternal Order of Police, the world's largest organization of sworn officers, posted on social media a picture of a Philadelphia officer holding Rekia Young's 2-year-old son, saying that he was lost during the riots in Philadelphia, wandering around barefoot in an area that was experiencing complete lawlessness. The post ended by saying, "We are the thin blue line, and we are the only thing standing between order and anarchy." So, just as a quick recap, in case you missed any of this, if you're just tuning in, this woman happened to be driving through West Philadelphia, probably didn't know that there was a protest going on, found herself in trouble, people all around her. She decides to back up. The cops pull her out of the car, beat the crap out of her and her 16-year-old nephew, take the kid away, take the 2-year-old toddler away from them, and then post a picture of that kid saying, "Oh, we just found this kid wandering around because there was so much chaos going on right here, and we are the protectors of the community." Boggles the brain. A few hours later, Philadelphia police released Young without filing any charges and let her reunite with her son. Lawyer Kevin Mincy said her son is still suffering from what happened. He's already stated a fear of the police. He's afraid of the dark, loud noises, Mincy said. He's more easily startled. These are just examples of some of the things he's been dealing with since this happened. Young and the lawyers called for District Attorney Larry Krasner to bring criminal charges against the officers involved. The Philadelphia Inquirer reported yesterday that 2 veteran officers were fired for their use of force. Philadelphia Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw, all right, pretty cool last name, said in a statement that what the officers did that day violated the mission of the Philadelphia Police Department and created an environment that terrorized Rekia Young, her family, and other members of the public. Young and her lawyers also want damages from the Fraternal Order of Police, which declined to comment. Lawyer Kevin Mincy said the FOP posted a picture of Young's son as a piece of political propaganda because it happened shortly before the 2020 presidential election, and wait for it, everyone, and after the National Fraternal Order of Police endorsed former President Donald Trump. He quoted the FOP website, which describes the organization's influence on public safety and policing issues is second to none. They beat the woman up, beat up her nephew, took the kid, used the kid for propaganda. And is it any surprise that the Fraternal Order of Police, we'll just call them fascists, supported Donald J. Trump? Any surprise there? Are you surprised, microphone? Not surprised at all. Not surprised. Checking out the chat. Here it is. Jenna goes, the brutality of the police on black women is truly horrible, treating us like we can take their horrible manhandling of us with our mouths shut. Well, yeah, I'm going to echo what Sammy said right there, right? Just going to echo that. It is. It's just as soon as you think with this story that the story can't get any worse, it just gets worse. It's like a puff pastry of crap. That's what it is. Defund and abolish, Jessi Bear. Yeah, we have covered on this show different cities that have just disbanded their police. They turned their police. They turned their police stations. They turned their police departments off and on. They just switched them off and then they turned them back on again, and they just started from scratch. Because maybe that's what you have to do when you have a culture of racism and violence. You just have to just get rid of everyone and start from scratch. What's up, Scapegoat Iscariot? Scapegoat goes, so when someone abuses a position of authority meant to serve and protect a cop or politician, they get the same penalty for failing this guy who keeps showing up late at McDonald's. I just keep, I gotta catch up on the chat. That's what I have to do. All right. 18th upvote. Good morning. BigZebra.com. And Kendra. Hey, what's up, Kendra? Hope you're doing well. All right. I do want to say one thing, is that I can't believe it, everyone. I voted in the primaries on Tuesday for the mayor of the city of Somerville. And it turns out my candidate actually got the most votes. So he's definitely going to go into the main election for mayor. And this is younger guy, union organizer. I don't know if he's I don't know if the girlfriend's in the chat or not. I think he's a DSA guy, Democratic Socialists of America guy. So I just picked the most left-leaning candidate out there. And he happened to have the most votes. So he might just win it all. Mayoral elections count. The mayoral elections count. That's right. All right. Good news. We just had a crazy story about Philadelphia and the police department over there. We're going to have some good news. Because if you saw the thumbnail to this story, it was, I survived Larry Elders about the California recount that just happened. So I'm going to share with you a video celebrating the fact that the fascists don't hold the governor's seat in California. Let's take a look at this. Resounding victory for Newsom, says White House. Yeah, he won by a lot. It just wasn't a small win. It was a significant win. Let me see if I can cue this up properly.
What are the lessons that the White House draws from the outcome of the California recall election in terms of mandates and vaccines investing?
Sure. Well, obviously we would note, since you gave me the opportunity, and I'll say there's a statement coming from the president shortly. He has not yet spoken with Governor Newsom, but I expect he will either later today or sometime soon, just in case that was another question. But of course, this was a resounding victory for Governor Newsom, but also for a science-based approach to fighting the pandemic, for vaccines, for testing, for steps that will protect more people and save more lives. And there's extensive data from last night that shows that Californians were overwhelmingly in favor of a leader who's willing to take strong steps to defeat COVID and get the economy up and running. Governor Newsom has been one of the leading governors in the nation protecting his people and vaccinating his state. And in our view, this was a resounding support of victory for that.
All right. So we had talked about this a couple of months ago, back in August, about how it looked kind of dicey for Newsom to actually pull this out. But in a state where there's a 2-to-1 ratio of Democrats to Republicans, the big question was getting Democrats off their asses to go and vote. And that's what they did, because they are horribly afraid of having their state fall under the power of some wannabe Trump, which is Larry Elders. Larry Elders is a lunatic. He's a man who stated that the descendants of slave owners should be getting reparations. Crazy guy. So congratulations, California, for not electing Larry Elders as your new governor. All right. What else are we doing today? We're going to be talking about General Milley. All right. So if you remember last year, it seems like an eternity ago, before the election, during the election, after the election, when I was doing the show with Chris Mallard and Rage, one of the constant things I was saying was that, and by the way, this is a segment that Andy was right, Dr. Kennard was right, what is that the generals, the military, must be having discussions about what to do with this guy, President Trump, right? He's unstable. And you don't know what he's willing to do to stay in power. Now, it turns out there's the new book, Peril, that seems to be saying that it was just as crazy as I thought it was. We're going to talk, I don't know, we're just going to get into the story itself and then talk about the peril of peril. Let's do it. Not this one, Andy. Here we go. Biden backs top General Milley after reported secret calls with China. Washington, this is from Reuters. President Joe Biden on Wednesday threw his support behind the top U.S. military officer Mike Milley a day after the new book said he went around civilian leaders to place secret calls to his Chinese counterpart over concerns about then President Donald Trump. Milley's office pushed back against the report in the book, saying the calls he made as chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff were coordinated within the Pentagon and across the U.S. government. According to excerpts of the book, Milley secretly called General Lee, I'm not going to pronounce his last name, of the PLA, the People's Liberation Army, twice in the final months of the Trump administration to say the U.S. government was stable. Milley told Lee that the U.S. was not going to attack China, and here it is, everyone. And if there were to be an attack, he would alert them ahead of time. A few lessons that we learned last year and early this year is that if you keep asking yourself, gosh, are we in a civil war? More than likely you're in a civil war. If you have someone calling up and telling you that the situation is stable and you have nothing to worry about, for me at least, that would be a sign that, oh snap, maybe things aren't that stable. And maybe I should be kind of concerned about things. Maybe I should be worried about things. And if my adversary is calling me and telling me that, hey, if their team is going to attack me, he's going to call me up and let me know beforehand, I would just think that other side is just complete chaos and they don't know what the hell they're doing. Next panel. He did not directly dispute the report on the contents of the calls. The Pentagon strongly backed Milley as well. The secretary has complete and utter trust and confidence in General Milley and his role as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby told reporters while declining to address the book's allegations. The book, Peril, by journalists Bob Woodward and Robert Costa, which they said relied on interviews with 200 sources, is due to be released next week. In a statement on Tuesday, Trump called the story fabricated. And if it was true, he said Milley should be tried for treason. For the record, I never even thought about attacking China, Trump said. You know, you can't trust anything that guy says, right? You can't trust anything that Trump says. So he could say that he wasn't planning on attacking China. Though, you know, if he thought it could get him out of trouble, if he thought he could get another 4 years in, I think the smart money is on the fact that Trump would have tried it. Trump, a Republican, named Miley to the top military post in 2018, but began criticizing him as well as other appointees and others, former staffers, after losing the presidential election to Joe Biden in November 2020. According to the Post, the book also said that Miley called senior officers to review the procedures for launching nukes and told them that while the president alone could give an order to use them, he had to be involved. The meeting regarding nuclear weapons protocols was to remind uniformed officers, leaders in the Pentagon of the long-established and robust procedures in light of media reporting on the subject, Butler said on Wednesday. Where do we start? All right. We'll start with the most important thing. Now, you may think the most important thing, and you're right, in a sense, that at least Miley did his best to manage and contain the crisis that's known as Donald J. Trump. But the long-term issue is the precedent that it sets, that the military may make decisions contrary to the civilian government, to the duly elected government. I'm not saying that the military had to do everything that Trump wanted them to do, because after all, we know, right? We know that it's illegal for officers to follow an illegal order. But the thing is, when you have the people with the guns not being under the civilian government, then we have a lot of problems. The United States of America did not have a military. We had militias for, in the early days after the revolution. The framers of the Constitution, though deeply flawed, understood that one of the main issues with having a republic is the army. There have been a lot of instances in history where governments are toppled by the military. And hopefully, we're getting to a time where our democratic institutions are being strengthened as against being weakened. I don't know, everyone. I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. But if anything, as we head towards the midterm elections and the next the general election, we are far from being out of the woods on this, on the issues of fascism. All right, checking out the chat. Grant Farmer's here. Hello, Grant Farmer. The military refused to have sex with Trump repeatedly. Yes, they did, even though he was the commander-in-chief and told them they had to do it. Jessi Bear says, Trump, as my 90-year-old grandmother has said, is a baffling buffoon. He is at that. Well, yes, Jessi. Trump should be tried for treason. Trump likely only wouldn't do it because China makes him money. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. So, yeah, the danger, once again, the long-term danger, one of the many variables that may destroy whatever's left of American democracy is the military not following the orders of the civilian government. There's something to keep an eye on. All right. Did I get everything? Did I get everything in the chat? I think I took a cursory look at everything. All right. So what did we do? It's hard to believe it's already 49 minutes into the show. We covered Pastafarians. If you want to protect your religious liberty at work from the unvaccinated, from the dick nosers, if you go to the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, you can get yourself a form saying that it's your deeply held religious belief to stay away from idiots, from COVID-idiots. That's one of the stories. Elizabeth Holmes. Yeah, we're probably going to be talking about Elizabeth Holmes quite a bit because you see, she is just a classic example of someone taking advantage of idiots. And that story that we covered today, it's just an example of how you need one lie on top of another lie on top of another lie. And people just keep lying. They think that the way that they got into it via lying is the way they're going to get out of it via lying. Horrible. The cop story, the police story. Oh, my fictitious God. That was, even for American policing, that story is hard to believe. And of course, we just talked about General Miley and the problems of the U.S. military, the problems of Donald J. Trump, and issues that are facing the country as we go into the future. That was a lot. That was a lot. Let's do something funny. That is not my cat, but I'm going to show it again just because it makes me feel so good. I just want to share this comment from Scapegoat Iscariot right here. Oh, see if I can find it. Scapegoat. Here we go. The government not representing the people and the military not representing the government or people. What the hell could go wrong? I find it hard to believe that anything could go wrong under that situation. All right, well, thanks, everyone. Thanks for showing up today. We're doing the after party after show. Link to be on the panels in the description below. That starts at 10 a.m. I don't know what we're going to talk about. We could talk about anything. We can talk about anything, basically. It's going to be a lot of fun one way or the other. That's starting off at 10 a.m. We're doing this thing tomorrow on Friday. The normal show at 9 a.m. and, of course, the after party after show at 10. And I'll see you, I guess, at 10. I'm going to drop the video thanking YouTube members and patrons right now, and I'll see you at 10.